team to me, Coach, is Texas. So they have a quarterback, Sam Ehlinger. I like him a lot. He's got some Tebow qualities. I don't know about the next level, but boy, he's a leader. Boy, he is tough. But here's what I don't know, Coach. I look at the NFL draft, and I don't see a lot of Longhorns going high in the draft. So my question is, were they just playing on energy last year? How good is their personnel? Is it Clemson, Bama? How do I tell?
Colin, we talked about this briefly, and I actually had a long conversation with a great friend of mine, and you get these recruiting rankings, and the only rankings that really matter, obviously one loss and championships won. However, the NFL keeps score for you. The NFL draft tells you how the recruiting rankings went, and when he told me that Texas had 2 draft picks last year and Houston had 4, that's very alarming. However, when you see what Tom Herman's done recruiting the last couple of years, he loves the receiver, Colin Johnson. Ehlinger is a stud, like you said. He's a great leader. That's where it all starts. I'm picking Texas as one of the surprise teams of the year this year.
Yeah, they beat Georgia, obviously, at the end of the year in a bowl game, but they were really highly motivated. I'm not sure Georgia was as motivated, so I don't want to overreact to that bowl game, but I did like what I see. I want to talk about Lincoln Riley in Oklahoma. You know, Coach, there were times your name was thrown out for NFL positions, but you have told me for years you're a college guy, not an NFL guy. It never interested you. If it did, Belichick would have certainly hired you 1,000 times, and you could have gotten a head job. But that wasn't your thing. Lincoln Riley's interesting. He's young. His offense looks like where the NFL's going. Do you think that temptation will be tough for Lincoln Riley to say no to over time?
I do, and I don't know Lincoln Riley very well. Competed against him a couple times, have great respect for him. But the one thing that's changed in college football was the recruiting calendar. And, whether it's good or bad, that's still to be determined. However, the livelihood and just personal life of a college coach is nonstop. You have recruiting weekends now in May and June. You know, you're rarely around your players. July's your time off, and then you're back at it. So, I've heard this from other coaches that it's very appealing now, just the calendar and lifestyle of an NFL coach versus a college coach. I've had coaches of my own gone on to the NFL and said, Coach, you ought to check this out because it's all football. You're not dealing with the day-to-day grind because recruiting right now is 24/7. At places like Oklahoma, Ohio State, Alabama, Clemson, you're all on the same players. And you know those other coaches are great recruiters. You have to put in the time and effort or your program gets very bad quickly. So once again, I don't know Lincoln. I just know the lifestyle of the NFL coach right now is different than that of college.
We were talking about during the break, there's some really good NFL quarterbacks, but they've sustained injuries, and they tend to be guys who can move a little bit. Carson Wentz, Cam Newton, Andrew Luck, who are very mobile. When you had a college system, you preferred pocket guys, but you like pocket guys who can move a little bit, maybe movement over mobility. It's funny about Oklahoma because, Jalen Hurts, even Baker has got his capability. I worry about that with Oklahoma. I look at that offense and I think, man, that is a lot of vulnerability for quarterbacks running around. Do you think college coaches now are struggling with this? That the game's about space, and that puts your quarterback in really tough situations. Would you still today prefer pocket over mobile?
I think what's happened, and I can speak to my time and right now what Ohio State's going through, what I imagine Oklahoma's going through without really talking to them, is the quarterback that can run is the equalizer. Well, it's just talking about equate numbers. They don't account for. So the quarterback run for years was the equalizer. The quarterback that can escape a sack and get the 20, 25-yard run, everybody wants that. The quarterback that sits like a tree in the pocket, that unless they're the Tom Brady's or incredible accurate quarterbacks, you love to play against those guys, the guys that can move. However, with the transfer portal, with players leaving, your backup leaving, Joe Burrow leaves Ohio State, he becomes a starter at LSU. You have Jalen Hurts, you have Brandon Wimbush. These quarterbacks just leave. Now this leaves, that's great for them, but it leaves a real issue as a backup at the school. So how often you want your quarterback get hit? And you have Jalen Hurts. Obviously, I don't know if they named him the starter. We're not sure who's behind him. I know at Ohio State you have Justin Fields. Do they feel good about who's behind him? If they don't, that puts a coach in a very precarious situation about how often you want to run him and get him hit.
Oh, by the way, I watched Dwayne Haskins now in the first couple of weeks, and I think both of us agreed. I think he's going to work in the NFL, but I hope they don't overwhelm him early. I do think he's a guy that's got a high ceiling, but it's going to take time. Some guys are more ready to play early. So I watched him this past week. He delivered a couple really nice strikes down the field. First week, he looked a little overwhelmed. It looks like, Coach, Dwayne Haskins may be forced to play as a rookie. So tell a Redskin fan watching today, is he a quick learner? What is his strength? What could he do immediately, in your opinion, at the pro level?
Well, Dwayne Haskins is the most accurate passer I've had, and that includes Alex Smith and some other great players I've had. He only played 1 year. However, his accuracy, his arm strength, they're all NFL style. So much of the quarterback playing NFL. I remember when Alex Smith first got picked by the Redskins, and up to that point was one of the best players I've ever seen, and he really struggled. But he struggled because the 49ers were bad on both sides of the ball. They didn't surround him with good players, and yet it became Alex Smith's issue that he wasn't a good NFL quarterback. This is going to be key. Who's going to be, which is obvious, but who's going to be around Dwayne Haskins? If they put him with a very talented guy, I'm telling you, he's good enough to get the ball there. And as far as a quick learner, he's a brilliant guy. Last year he was barely touched, and it wasn't because because people blitz you, obviously. His ability to identify the defense, flip the protection, to get the blitz picked up was about as good as we've been around. So learns quick, incredibly accurate, great arm strength. The question is what kind of players are surrounding him.
Well, I watched this past week against Cincinnati, and we're watching video as we talk to you here. He gets rid of the ball. It was very exciting. I mean, it was like I watched him, and I thought, okay, this is the guy I want to see. So, okay, finally now. So here we go. We're getting ready for college football. You've looked at all the conferences. We've done SEC, Big Ten. We've done Big 12 today. You'll do Pac-12 later. Is there a team you have seen, we got about a minute left, a team you have seen in any of these conferences that you look at on tape and you think, Colin, this is a top 10 team that's not getting love? You seen any of those yet?
The one that I spent a lot of time with, Joe Burrow. He came home, and I know they're a top 10 team, but they're not getting, because of Alabama and Georgia, they're not getting quite the attention that maybe I think they're due. And Joe Burrow loves his team at LSU, loves his coaching staff. They've hired a couple new coaches on offense that really made an impact. Joe Burrow is a returning quarterback. That's the school. That LSU, I remember when I was in the SEC, that's the one team you really didn't want to see. That's as good-looking a team. They always recruit well. When they come out of the tunnel, down in Baton Rouge or whether you play them at home, that was the one team that we would always say that's the best-looking team in college football. And I think they're right there again. So obviously the big stumble, they have to go to Tuscaloosa. They have a returning quarterback who is a flat stud, tough guy, and great leader. And that's the ones. I know they are in the top 10 in most polls, but keep an eye on LSU. I really like that quarterback, and I think I'm hearing great things from him about their team.
Urban, great seeing you. We'll talk soon. Thank you so much, Coach.
Thank you, Colin.
You bet. Big. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.